everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm incredibly excited to be taking a look at the all-new Godzilla vs. Kong Mechagodzilla. Oh my goodness, I actually cannot believe that I have managed to get one of these figures in hand, and he looks remarkable. Of course, at the time of this recording, we have had no official confirmation of how Mechagodzilla shall look in the upcoming movie, although the merchandise has begun to circulate, and taking a look at some of that merchandise, this figure here does appear to be pretty much spot on to how he shall appear in the movie. And to be honest with you, I'm just happy to have confirmation that he is actually appearing in the movie, as up until this point it was merely just speculation, and many of us, myself included, were just led to believe that it was merely going to be Godzilla and Kong in the movie. But regardless, taking a look here at the figure, of course it is very basic as far as the 6-inch figures are concerned. So we have Godzilla and Kong about to have a throwdown. We have a great open window view display here of Mechagodzilla, showcasing the details of this fantastic looking piece. Of course, we do have the battle damage reveal, Mechagodzilla with heave, and as we spin around here to the back of the box, we have a fantastic product shot there of Mechagodzilla, as well as a very brief bio, which may or may not actually be spoilers for the upcoming movie. A robotic apex predator with unstoppable powers of laser destruction, Mechagodzilla was created in secret to destroy Godzilla and end the reign of monsters. I really cannot wait to see how this character does actually play out in the movie, and honestly, I'm actually a huge fan of his design. I believe they have stayed incredibly faithful to the original source material, whilst of course giving him a little bit more of a realistic look in order to go along with what we have seen from the updated design of Godzilla in the live action movies, and he really does look fantastic. So without further ado, I'm going to bust Mechagodzilla here out of his packaging, and then of course we'll take a closer look at the details, the articulation, and I shall show you a full set of comparisons with all of the previously released and previously reviewed over on the channel Godzilla vs. Kong action figures. And so here we have Mechagodzilla cracked open out of his packaging and looking absolutely terrific. Honestly, if the design looks half as good as this on the silver screen, we are certainly going to be in for an absolute treat. Before we delve in and take a look at the glorious details, I first of all want to start off by taking a look here at the accessories. So of course we do get included the Heave, which is a hollow earth anti-gravity vehicle, and this is the exact same sculpt as we saw with the previously released Skull Crawler. The only difference between this version is that it now has a complete green paint deco as well as a silver windscreen, and you can see that the details are just as sharp and crisp as on the original version, and it is a really nice looking accessory. So we'll set that there off to the side, and of course take a look here at the main event himself. And as I have mentioned in pretty much all of these 6-inch scaled GVK figures, I really do believe the price point on these is amazing. The detail, the articulation that you get for that $10 price point honestly is remarkable. These are some of the best valued items that I personally have seen on toy shelves. You can see that as far as that sculpt work is concerned, it truly does look amazing. You can see there that the head sculpt, it looks very reminiscent to Godzilla, whilst at the same time of course having a very mechanical vibe to it, and it is definitely a little thicker in terms of design than compared to the Godzilla that we have all come to know and love. You can also see we've got some impeccable detailing here for the teeth, and I do love how they have actually painted the interior mouthpiece here of Mechagodzilla. I also love the really piercing, very menacing red eyes that we have got here, and judging from one of the most recent trailers, this is actually going to be something that we get a really nice look of in the movie, as we do actually see Mechagodzilla activate. You can see here for the torso region, we've got some really nice looking red details, which just makes the character look so much more aggressive. I think the sculpt work is immaculate. You can see here for the torso region, the arms, the claws, everything about him just looks so nicely done. And despite the figure not having a ton of paint actually applied to him, I think the colour of cast plastic that they have actually used is a really good choice, as it certainly does give you that mechanical vibe, whilst at the same time doesn't look bland nor boring like we have seen from some other figures which perhaps are just cast in generic plastic. You can see here for the sides, we've got the ribs there of Mechagodzilla. I love all of this armour plating, which I was surprised to see is actually a lot firmer than I initially suspected. So you can see here we've got all of this amazing armour plating, and of course not to forget the terrific looking red spine, or I guess you could call these the dorsal plates. You can see that that completely continues all the way down here to the tip of Mechagodzilla's tail, and it really does look fantastic. I'm pretty certain that in the movie we're going to see this light up an incredibly vibrant red, as I'm almost certain that Mechagodzilla will be able to deploy some wicked looking heat beams. It's just a shame this figure does unfortunately not come with them, despite actually having the port in the roof of his mouth sculpted to actually equip one. So we may or may not actually see a re-release of this with some beam effects, but regardless, the figure that I have before me looks terrific, and you can see here even on the opposite side we've got some terrific looking details there for the thighs thighs and the side of the legs. I also do like the asymmetrical design for the claws, so you can see this one is ever so slightly more open than in comparison to this one, and I think the sculpt work on the interior of these two has turned out terrifically well. And you can also see there for the toes, these look awesome. Such a cool looking design here, as well as all of this superb mechanical detail that we've got going on here down to the base of the foot. And then taking a look here towards Mechagodzilla's tail, I just think the sculpt work is so nicely done. And once again, you've got that terrific looking red paint, as well as a very sharp, jagged looking tip there for a tail. So I'm almost certain that we shall see him actually use this in order to battle against, I presume, Godzilla and Kong in the upcoming movie. But overall, as far as sculpt is concerned, I think it's terrific. Of course, I maybe would have liked to have seen a little more paint variation, but I think the colour of cast plastic that they have actually used does a more than good enough job, especially once again for that $10 price point. As far as articulation is concerned, the jaw here can open and close, just so you can see the difference it makes there to the look. So you can have that closed or open to a great extent. We do get a hinge joint here at the arm, which can hinge forwards and backwards, as well as out to the sides. Despite it looking like he has an elbow joint, unfortunately he does not. This is a static piece, and the claws too are static, so they cannot open and close nor rotate left to right. We also do not get any form of head rotation, which I would have loved to have seen, but considering the spine piece is a separate section, there would have been pretty much no way for them to have actually accomplished that without compromising the design here for the spine. The legs here, I was quite surprised to see, are very well articulated, so these can hinge out to the sides as well as hinge forwards and backwards. We also do get a knee joint, which once again was something that I was not expecting. And then finally here for the main body, we also do get a rotation here at the foot, and considering the tail is a separate piece, it does peg onto a ball joint, so you are able to manipulate this here all the way around, as well as of course rotate this left to right. And of course it is pre-posed, so you are unable to actually bend the tail, although if you were to heat this in hot water and of course pre-pose it and then run it under some cold water, I'm pretty certain that you could get this into pretty much any position that you would want for your display. So overall, as far as detail, sculpt and articulation is concerned, I'm just so thoroughly impressed with how this particular release has turned out. I think that it is a great design for such an iconic Godzilla villain. Of course, as this line does have the capability of battle damage, we can in fact remove this entire chest plate here of Mechagodzilla to reveal some of the interior detailing here of the character, and this too has also been picked out in a very nice looking gunmetal silver. Personally, I'm not entirely sure as to whether or not this shall in fact be battle damage. To me, this looks like a section that is actually going to retract to reveal some missile pods, so if that is the case, I'm really looking forward to seeing as to how that does in fact actually play out on screen. But as far as the battle damage gimmick is concerned, it does work just as effective as some of the previously released GVK 6-inch figures by Playmates. Here for a Mechagodzilla and of course Godzilla size comparison, you can see that our all new Mechagodzilla does in fact tower over Godzilla himself. So just in general, this is going to be a bigger character by the looks of it. And as far as the actual length of the tail is concerned, you can even see here that Mechagodzilla is slightly bigger. So this is definitely a formidable foe for our Godzilla to go up against in the movie. I'm just wondering as to whether or not he can in fact take him down, as of course this is such a behemoth. And even here from a front-on perspective, you can just see how much broader, how much larger Mechagodzilla is in comparison, and those claws are almost certainly going to do some terrific damage to Godzilla in the upcoming film. Honestly, I'm just so excited for this movie to finally come out, and I'm so glad that we have in fact got this particular character introduced here into the new Playmates 6-inch scale. And here for one final epic, colossal comparison, here we have Mechagodzilla compared next to all of the previously released and reviewed over on the channel 6-inch scaled GVK Playmates action figures. And as far as the scaling is concerned, of course, as I personally haven't as of yet seen the movie, I'm unable to actually confirm nor deny if this is accurate to the film, but I'm almost certain that the scaling between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla is spot on. And of course, judging from the trailer, Godzilla and Kong are roughly in this particular scale, so it would stand to reason that Kong 2 is also in scale with Mechagodzilla. And just for a very quick side-by-side comparison there, you can see that Mechagodzilla 2 is a lot bigger and actually feels a little heftier as far as plastic is concerned to Kong. So we are definitely dealing with a much larger, much more aggressive looking character, and as mentioned throughout this review, I'm honestly just super excited to see how these characters will look with one another, of course on that silver screen. And so overall, some final thoughts. Overall, I am so impressed with what Playmates here have done with Mechagodzilla. Of course, the actual design itself is very faithful to some of the previous incarnations of the character, although this time just looks so much more realistic. And I also love the inclusion of the red spinal piece that that goes all the way from the top of his head down to the tail. It really is a nice breakup of colour, and I also do like the red highlights that we have scattered throughout the torso. I think the detailing on this figure for the $10 price point is remarkable. It is by far one of the best detailed and cheapest priced figures that I personally can find out there, and I believe that his articulation, whilst maybe slightly limited in some areas, is definitely in keeping with what we have seen from some of the previously released figures. Most noticeably would be Godzilla, and unlike Godzilla, he does in fact have hinge joints at the shoulders as well as knee joints, and of course foot rotation, and I think that his battle damage reveal is a really nice added touch. Personally, I cannot recommend this figure highly enough. If you are a fan of Godzilla and of course the GVK movie, then this figure here is going to be a must-have. It really is such a solid release, and I cannot wait to get my hands on, I believe it's the 11-inch version, as if they were able to accomplish so much here with the 6-inch version as far as detail is concerned, I can only imagine how awesome that 11-inch version would look like. Of course, these figures I don't believe are supposed to be out yet, although some stores have already begun actually putting them out on store shelves, so if you are looking for this figure, I would definitely recommend to check your retail before of course purchasing it online at places such as eBay. Of course, there is currently a lot of hype surrounding this character, as the movie, at least here in the UK, hasn't as of yet actually come out, so everyone's just going into an absolute frenzy and buying these and scalping them and all sorts. So if you are unable to find this figure for a reasonable price, I would recommend just holding out for a few weeks until the movie of course has come out and the hype has slightly died down, and I think he will be in fact pretty readily available. I really hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please do let me know down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.